question. Welcome to the 100th episode of Seddy Bimco. No, I'm saying it. The 50th since season 2, the big changeover. What awaits us in the next 50? Only time will tell on the next episode of Seddy Bimco.
We didn't even rehearse that.
Nope, my plan was to steal your thunder.
I can edit it. This is episode 100 of Seddy Bimco. And this week we're going to watch 1987 because we watch garbage all the time, I thought.
We're just going to watch 1987 the entire year? We better start working.
Because we watch garbage all the time. I thought it appropriate for our 100th episode that we watch 1987's Garbage Pail Kids.
Oh, clever wordplay, Tim.
Clever wordplay.
Yes, pails.
In England, it's, what is it?
Dustbin
kids.
No, what's the word for kids? What do they call kids in England? Hatchlings?
Little tykes.
Little tots, eh?
So, George, this week, we're also going to answer the age-old question.
Uh-huh. Oh, good. Good. Everyone's favorite part.
We all know the story of the gingerbread man, right? It's a folk tale or children's book. The cookie jumps out of the oven and he says, run fast as you can. You can't catch me. I'm the gingerbread man. And the whole town chases him. And a fox lures him with drugs into his mouth, right?
Yeah. Smack. Yeah. He goes, I got some heroin. He goes, that's the frosting you need.
Yes. Good one.
Yeah, thank you. I just did that.
Wow. So I hope we all know the story. But did the old lady who baked that gingerbread man ever get revenge on her husband, who was the one who said he really fancied some cookies with long, muscular legs?
It's Seddy Bimco Part 2, The Revenge. The show where we create revenge sequels that nobody wanted.
Seddy Bimco Part 2, The Revenge, the premier podcast for making revenge sequels that never were.
America's premier podcast. We can't speak to other countries, though given our burgeoning popularity in realms such as France and India, I imagine we're probably the number one themed revenge podcast in those places as well.
Before we go forward, I'll forget this if I don't say it. It's episode 100, and want to thank John Kelly for being there for half of that at least.
He's our special guest today. John, come on.
Oh, experiment.
He fell.
He fell again.
He was way over there in the living room. He fell over. It
was all that olive oil that he keeps spreading all over himself.
I don't know.
Yeah, and he fell
He's
over.
He's so lubed.
Tim and Jean pillows he has with our faces on them. Not one with George. Where's George's pillow?
Oh, he sits on that one.
Come on, John. He's not getting up, but
wait a second here.
Well,
tell you later if he gets up.
Okay.
He wanted to be on the show. And I do want to thank Kevin Cablasto, who also wanted to be on the show, but we just said, nah. No, we don't need you. But really,
hit the road, Cablasto.
Thank you for helping out also.
Yeah.
Of the Spaghetti and Freddy podcast. He probably wants me to say that.
And let's thank all the various guests that you had on back when this podcast had guests.
I was going to say that.
Yeah, especially Natalie Kim, who for reasons I don't know, she boosted the ratings and made them crash and made you stop doing guests entirely. Hi, Natalie. Hope all is well.
She taught me to commit to the character. Every week when we watch a movie, we pick a wildcard question and we ask who from that movie would be most likely to do one of these things. And
we pull a number out of a bottle that this is the last number of the 50, right?
Of this theme. It's number 21. We didn't even get to use them all.
No, or what is it?
So who from this movie would most likely to appear on a game show called Sasquatch or Hippie? Gee, I'm glad I got that one.
Okay, most likely, which character in this movie is most likely to appear in a game, Sasquatch or Hippie? All right. I'm betting. I'm just saying, if I were to watch that show, I'm betting it's always Hippie. As we know.
You think so?
And I think there's even a letter that we'll probably be reading later tonight. Hairy hominids have yet to been proven by science conclusively, despite the efforts of some of our greatest actors. And
you reading Wikipedia?
No, that's just the way I speak, dude.
No, I mean those facts.
Oh yeah, I don't know. Actually, Tim, as you know, we get a lot of mail saying people their favorite part is our delightful banter, and people want to know: have you ever had a Sasquatch or Sasquatch adjacent experience personally? Nope. That's it. That's all you got, huh?
I don't have anything.
Nothing. It's good stuff. How about revenge? Any revenge? Any revenge stories this week? Yeah, I did.
We don't have time. It's our big 100th episode.
Big 100th episode. John Kelly said he was going to come on and tell his Sasquatch story, but as we can see, he's floundering, covered head to toe in olive oil as he tries and struggles.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
With fail to stand up. With fail, I said. Speak good, do I?
He's using his Kevin Cablasto pillow to wipe up the oil.
And it's slowly but surely coming off.
Gross.
So.
It's a full-length Kevin Cablasto body pillow, too. It's weird.
And we both used to read comic books, so I'll even talk about comic books a little bit.
We both used to. Yeah, we definitely don't read comics anymore because we're too cool for that, right?
We grew up doing that. Doing that.
Yep.
So I'm glad we're keeping this low-key because sometimes there'd be a 100th episode of a comic, and they just ruin the story because they're like, yeah, we got to shove the Avengers or Spider-Man in here. And I remember being kind of like, yeah, I didn't need them to show up. I just want to read my comic.
But those comics were normally extra sized. Are we going to allow ourselves to become a bloated podcast in this as we tackle the Garbage Pail Kids, the movie?
Nope. Because I thought some of those were too big as a child.
What are some of the comic book anniversary issues you thought were too big, Tim?
Spider-Man 200.
What happened in that one? Is that the one where he got 2 extra arms?
No, that's 100.
4 extra arms?
This is
100. What happened to 200?
Caught up with the burglar again. That had robbed him.
The burglar, and he beats him to death.
Yeah. So
pulls his arms off. He goes, now the spider pulls off the fly's arms, rips him off, beats him with him.
It was a whole storyline where he made them think Aunt May had died and Mysterio was involved. And anyway.
I don't think I've read this.
And he lost his powers in this the whole episode, except the last panel. It was Spider-Man without his powers. That's right. Mysterio took his powers away with a special gas. That's what happened, folks.
Was it like the gas, like Windy Winston from the movie Tonight?
A good segue to get away from this comic book
I was
talk.
Pretty, don't worry, guys. Comic book talk will be coming back. I guarantee it. All right, Tim.
You want to tell people what they are? Yeah, go ahead.
Want to tell people what they are?
What the history, but you go. I just jumped right on you like, hey, shut up. I'm going to tell them. I can do a little.
So actually, I will say, so this movie, it's 1987's Garbage Pail Kids, the movie. Even a perfunctory amount of research will reveal that this is often cited as not only one of the worst movies ever made, the worst movie ever made.
Yeah.
I'm going to come out and say that's hyperbole. We have easily seen, I'd say, 20 films worse than this and Seddy Bimco.
Well, I think there's categories. This is a movie where they were like, hey, this is going to be big.
That's what's interesting. Like somebody, like, even though this movie is pretty cheap looking, I think there was still a budget attached to this. This got like a major release.
Yeah.
I wasn't actually able to find out the budget.
And did you read that like 2003 at Disney, they're like, let's remake that. But a lot of people are like, no, let's not remake that. I read that. What'd you say?
That's surprising that Disney. I mean, this is the only time I've ever opened up a movie and has a Topps Trading Cards film presents.
Right.
So those of you who don't know, so back in the 80s, this guy, Xavier Roberts, and I think it was Coleco, created this very popular type of doll called the Cabbage Patch Kids. And it was like, for me, at least, it was the first real craze I remember for toys. Like, I think did I tell on this podcast the story of my sister's one, Lars Jeremiah, that my brother,
You wasted that story last week. Jeremiah
Lars Jeremiah.
Lars Jeremiah. Oh, I love that name.
Still remember that name. The one that my brother shot a suction cup arrow to. Not any lasting damage, but my sister's poor heart was broken. And like, it was such a big thing. And like, it was a status symbol. If you had a Cabbage Patch Kid, it was like, it was hard to get. It showed you that you had a family member who was willing to wait on crazy long lines, maybe throw a few elbows at Toys R Us or Child World, whatever.
They used to have summer camps for Cabbage Patch Kids. You would take them to summer camp, and these people would...
Really?
Yes. You can look
and
up
each one was
videos of
different looking. They're all kind of like, I guess they're vaguely cute, but they are also grotesque. I remember a big plus was that they all smelled like baby powder, and they all weirdly had a tattoo of the creator Xavier Roberts' name on their butt. And I'm not even kidding. That's really a thing that they have.
Is that all that's tattooed there? I hope so.
Sometimes it said exhaust goes here and stuff and things like that. No. And because they were such a huge cultural juggernaut, of course there was something that came up ridiculing it, which interestingly I think has really outlasted because this still goes on. Garbage Pail Kids was a series of trading cards, many series produced by Topps, of baseball card fame, of like different Cabbage Patch looking kids, all with something gross or weird. I remember there was like Ronnie Ray Gun. It looked like Ronald Reagan, and he was shooting a ray gun.
How many were there? Do you know?
Hundreds.
Oh,
hundreds. There's so many series of this.
They just picked like 8 for this movie, I think.
Well, I think it's only 7. Not only that, Tim, I was considering doing this and I didn't find it interesting enough. When you would collect the cards, because my brother, the guy who shot the suction cup arrow onto Lars Jeremiah, the Cabbage Patch Kid, he was a full-on Cabbage Patch hater. You had to call him to one of 2 camps. He had a metal lunchbox filled with these cards, and they would use the same illustration for 2 different cards.
Yeah.
So, for instance, like this movie has one of the main Cabbage Patch Kids is Alligator, who's like a horrible half human, half alligator hybrid. And you could get an alligator card, but then there was one called like Marshall or something, or Crocodilin. It was another name. Like they would all have 2 different versions.
Right.
I actually thought Crocodilin is the one I made up. I'm like, that's good, and it's not Crocodilin.
Oh,
it was
Crocodilin.
No,
well,
like how do they not use Crocodilin?
Wait, Crocodilin?
Yeah, like just the name.
So it'd be like Bob Dylan.
They're all just puns.
It'd be Baby Bob Dylan.
No, he'd be an alligator that eats Bob Dylan. And they were the brainchild. I think we talked about this. At least in partial, they were the brainchild of Mouse creator Art Spiegelman, which is hilarious.
Yep.
And some other people who Tim's going to mention.
Mark Newgarden.
There was a third name.
John Pound. That
sounds like a fake name.
He seemed to be more involved with the movie. I looked him up. He did three things, 3 movies.
Wow.
The director of this movie used to be a stuntman, I read. And then he filmed Screen Test, and he made this.
Wow. He also did some TV shows.
Yeah. All these songs. Let's see. You Can Be a Garbage Pail Kid 2 was nominated for Worst Original Song, but lost to George Michael's I Want Your Sex for Beverly Hills Cop 2.
That's a good song. Yeah, folks, this is also a hidden musical. They sing songs. I will say this is an interesting thing I turned up. I don't know why this is interesting, but the guy who directed this, Amato, he also directed multiple episodes of the TV show that I've heard of and never seen, My Mother the Car.
Oh, really?
Which I think is and here's what's wacky. There was a character on My Mother the Car named Captain Manzini.
Oh, wow.
Captain Manzini is one of the leads of this movie.
Are you making this up?
No, this is all real. Like, I was very intrigued by Captain Manzini and like this. I was trying to find interesting stuff about this terrible movie.
My Mother the Car is so old. That's an old show.
Yeah, is that the one?
Mark Twain used to watch that.
Oh, wait. Mark Twain, can you deliver your thoughts on My Mother the Car? Let's hear Mark Twain. Always an exciting day when Mark Twain drops by the Seddy Bimco lot.
You know what they say about thinking your car is your mother?
What do they say about that, Samuel Clemens, a.k.a. Mark Twain?
Rather it be your car is your father, then it is less sexual.
It's because you're filling up your mom's the car with fuel, I guess. I'm disturbed, but that your mind went there, Mark Twain. You know what?
That's
Tim, for episode 300, I'm reinstituting the ban.
Episode 300?
Did I say what? 300? Episode 100, I'm reinstituting the ban. No more Mark Twain. He's not allowed here anymore. Yeah, that guy sucks.
Yeah, I was trying to find interesting stuff about this movie too.
Well, you missed the Captain Manzini thing. So should we just launch into the movie?
Oh, yeah. I thought we were just already talking about it.
Like plot.
Oof.
I forgot this part until I read a synopsis again after watching this movie because, spoilers, I took not a lot of notes because this is not a movie you take notes during. They show in the beginning there's like a garbage pail spaceship orbiting Earth.
Yeah, and I was like, I don't know if these, I'm ready for anything in this movie, but space never plays a part.
And it never really comes back.
No. And
then, I'm going to go out on a limb and say this is on an alternate Earth.
Yeah.
There's been some key differences in the way civilization has progressed. I think all of civilization is on this one street corner, which has an antique shop, Captain Manzini's antique shop, has an apartment, and has a non-union sweatshop at the corner.
Yeah,
and then within driving distance, there is a nightclub where people buy clothing sometimes, and
they're crazy for clothing there.
It's crazy for clothing. And a department store called Bundy's, presumably after the serial killer. That's the only locations, really. Our main character, which Tim kind of alluded to in the beginning, is a kid named Dodger. Mm-hmm. Dodger has no parents, it seems. He seems to be a street urchin, no school.
No.
There's no evidence of school exists. He is set upon by bullies who are full-grown adults. Like I would say Dodger's like 12, right? And his nemesi in this movie are like 25, 26.
Yeah, two guys. Two girls.
Two guys. The main guy's name is Juice.
Yep.
Then there's another guy who wears like a net t-shirt. Then there's a bodybuilding lady who seems to be his girlfriend.
Yes.
She's the strongest one. And then there is Juice's girlfriend / captive. It's a little hard to tell.
Yeah.
Tangerine.
Yes. Abusive relationship, I'll say.
It's abusive. It made me very nervous, and I really didn't know how to feel about her.
Yeah.
Because we'll get into it, folks. But she's also like the romantic lead, perhaps. She's like 25.
I know.
He's 12. I'm like, wow, I didn't expect this on my watch of Garbage Kids.
This is totally a different reality where emotions work differently too than on Earth.
None of them have parents. The only human adult we see, except for the bullies for most of this movie, is Captain Manzini himself.
Right.
Captain Manzini works in this antique shop, and he actually makes several cryptic comments about being very, very old.
Right.
He's always dispatching Dodger, his sole employee, to get things like Eye of Newt and, Gizzard of a Lizard and stuff like this to do spells. And he actually wields magic powers at some points. Yeah. So it's weird.
Just get rid of Dodger. Like, go around town, find some Newt.
No, he seems out of touch. He dresses a little weird. Mm-hmm. He's also the actor who plays him, I will say, is actually turning in a performance. Which I was like, this guy's actually pretty good. Did you happen to see the list of people that were considered to play this part?
Oh my God. I didn't think to look that up.
Oh my God, Tim. Okay. Are you ready?
Mm-hmm.
So I am on the official Garbage Pail Kids wiki. Captain Manzini is one of the main characters in the Garbage Pail Kids movie. He was played by Anthony Newley. Trivia. Bob Hope and Jackie Gleason originally was offered the role of Captain Manzini. That's how it's said. Wow. Turned down, was offered. And all those half of those words are capitalized. It's like reading a Donald Trump tweet. But then there is this list which can't be serious. I cannot read this entire thing, but I'm just going to start. All right. Donald Petrie, David Cronenberg, John C. McGinley, Andrew Stevens, Lee Montgomery, Thomas Lee Holland, John Waters, John Walmsley, Alfred Molina, Ira Newborn, Dan Schneider, it goes on and on. Christopher Guest, Jerry Springer. I read you 2 lines. It is 16 lines of text.
Well,
and then if it ends, it was Wayne Knight, Pat Buttram, Leon Schuster, and Michael Hitchcock were all considered for the role of Captain Manzini before the role was given to Anthony Newley. It's hilarious.
The budget for this was only $1 million, so I don't know who they.
Wait,
that's what I read.
No, it's okay. And
it made $1.6 million at the box office. That's what I read here.
That's a hit.
1987. Why, you going to do your?
Well,
George's.
I am. Yes.
currency.
I think we have to, for episode 100, we have to do George's currency current. All right, so the $1 million budget of Garbage Pail Kids, the movie, would be equivalent to nowadays. Do you want to know how much money that would be to now?
$18 million.
No, only apparently $2,714,938. Yeah, that seems low, right? Yeah. Wow. So this is still. All right, let's just be honest though. This is $2 billion is still a lot of money to give to this movie.
It is.
So back to the plot. Now that we had our today's only appearance of George's currency currenter. We're in Captain Manzini's thing, and wackiness is occurring. There is a big garbage pail that almost falls over, and he grabs it and holds it, and he's like, "Never," he says to Dodger, "never open that garbage pail.
Okay,
you must never do it. Have you ever heard of Pandora's box?" And the kid's like, "I don't even know who Pandora is." He's like, "It's a legend where all the evils in the world came from a box. That is Pandora's box." Pretty exciting
Very
stuff,
nice.
huh?
That's exciting.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, so I'm like, ooh.
You did miss that Dodger came to his shop covered in mud because Juice dumped him in mud to get his money, and then that's Mancini dresses him in an African garb that I forget the name of. And that's why we know Mancini has all this stuff from around the world.
He puts him in a dashiki.
Ah, yes, I think so.
Yep. We should describe the shop. This is not any mere antique shop. There was like an Egyptian sarcophagus. There's stuff like
the pictures. Their eyes move, although we never know why.
I didn't notice that. That's a good note. That's a good detail. I'll tell you why, because Captain Manzini
and some of the pictures,
he's got real powers.
Some of the pictures had tongues that moved. Okay. Let's move on.
This movie's disturbing enough and inky enough without you mentioning that.
But when he's getting dressed, Mancini says, "Why don't you turn in Juice to the police?" And he says, "The last guy who snitched on Juice was poured into the highway." I'm like, really?
Yep. Yeah, Juice just murdered people. Well, the next time he runs afoul of Juice is the male bully, by the way, just to remind you. Mm-hmm. He does pretty much try to kill him.
Yeah.
He comes into the shop, kicks him unconscious, takes him into the sewers, and there's one that says toxic waste, and he opens it, and the water's pouring on the kid.
I thought, not knowing nothing about this, I thought he was going to become a Garbage Pail Kid after that.
Man, me too. And you know what?
What's going to happen?
And they kind of, the bullies mess up the shop. I don't know where Captain Manzini is in this part. He's doing something else.
Yeah.
So they kick some shit over in the shop. They rough up the kid. They try to kill him by pouring toxic waste on him. And then we see
they all climb into the sewer for some reason.
All the bullies go in the sewer.
Even the girlfriends. The girlfriends.
Tangerine does too. I know the strong girl does because she's the only one who could open up the vat of
right,
like the valve that opens the toxic waste because she's the strongest one. So toxic waste is pouring on our unconscious heroes, being kicked unconscious by adults. Right. They leave. Oh, that was funny. Yeah, Juice. And then we see like a bunch of stubby little figures
because they knocked over the garbage can.
Well,
they knocked it over, let them out.
The Pandora's box. Yep. And what happens? These creatures come out. We don't get a good view of them here. And I thought it was going to be like an artfully done reveal thing. So like we're seeing like we see like kind of maybe some stubby hands and some stubby figures. Mm-hmm. And they come and they turn off the water that's toxic waste that's pouring onto our hero. And they bring him upstairs. And then they just show them. I'm like, wait, why were we hiding this?
Because they're so ugly.
Things are so ugly. So
not in
there are
in a bad way, like in a yuck. What are you made of?
These were meant to be ugly. Like the Garbage Pail Kids, you could look these up. They are repulsive characters,
right.
But like the way that they bring them to life in this is even grosser. And so let's give a quick run. Like they just are the most nightmarish animatronics slapped on little people. It's upsetting. The way they run amok, I literally felt a revulsion that if I was on set, I would have grabbed a stick and started whacking these things like piñatas. Like they are gross.
Plus, there's supposed to be Garbage Pail Kids, but there's some sexuality later on we'll talk about. I'm like, are you teenagers or are you kids?
They drink beer. Yeah, but here's the characters. So I already mentioned this one. There's Alligator, who is like, he's like a human
alligator
child hybrid who literally in one of his opening scenes, he opens up a lunchbox, which is filled with bloody eyeballs and severed fingers and toes, and he's eating them. This guy's killing people off panel. There's Foul Phil, who is like,
not sure. He's just a baby, right? Just smells bad.
I looked up some of these. You had to look up the original cards. Mm-hmm. Foul Phil's card is he has super bad breath.
Oh wow.
Yeah, which is why later Tangerine gives him a banaka, and he's like, banaka. And his other thing is he keeps, it's very quick. He's supposed to smell really bad breath-wise, and also his weird shtick is he keeps asking people, mommy, daddy. He's like the most babyish, like he looks, he's bald with one curl. He
does say that in the movie, and that was nightmarish. That was the most nightmarish part.
The one I hated the most probably was Nat Nerd.
Right.
Nat Nerd he's got acne all over his. He's coarse,
he's a teenager.
Yeah. Acne all over the place, and he pisses himself, I'm exaggerating, about 5 or 6 times in this movie.
I thought it was like 10 times. It just wouldn't stop.
It could be. Yeah. And you know what? He's dressed as a superhero, which kind of goes by if you notice he's got GPK on his chest. The original card, he's dressed as Superman, and his alternate name, it was Nat Nerd and Clark Kent. I'm like, Clark Kent's pretty good. Yeah.
Well, I don't know why a nerd has to wet his pants. That's all.
Yeah, that was weird, right?
Yeah.
And he already had like the horrendous acne. Then there's There's Greaser Greg, who is like a greaser,
has a knife,
like a 50s guy. Yeah, he has a switchblade he keeps pulling out. He's probably the most disturbing looking facially because he's got like these very human teeth that are. Yes. His face is kind of cast in a scowl. Yeah, they're all wearing animatronic heads, and we're not talking like Killer Clowns from Outer Space level. Like these are creepy, vaguely moving mouths, like a lot of
eyes popping delivered. Out.
Yeah. Oh, speaking of. Windy Winston, whose thing is he farts loudly.
Yes.
He does this thing where he gets this wide eyes whenever he farts. It looks like he's surprised, like he's shitting himself. His original card, he's actually playing like a clarinet and he's farting at the other end. Like, wow. There's no hint he's a musician in this.
Nope.
Messy Tessie, who also, she looked kind of like the little girl from The Exorcist, but she always had mucus coming out of her face.
Yep.
I had a problem with her.
It's terrible.
If I waded into these guys with my sticks like I planned, I'm taking out Foul Phil first, and I'm going right to Messy Tessie. And then there was Valerie Vomit, who she vomits, but she only really does it once.
I was disappointed. I was like, that's your main character the kids want to see. Valerie Vomit.
Yeah. Well, she throws up a card once because they play poker a lot, these kids, and then she does have a big vomit at the end, and that's.
Mostly
spoilers. That's all the Garbage Pail Kids.
What about Porta Potty?
That's a good name. That probably Tim. That's probably an actual. Is this a list? Did you make a list?
I didn't.
Okay.
What about Lazy Susan?
Could she just spin around? That's good. What else? This is list, Tim. One more of the list.
I just wrote a few extra.
Okay. All right.
They say funny things like drink the red and you'll be dead. I forget what that was about. They're just freaky when they come out and do stuff.
Yeah. So
and that Pail be jail. Speaking of their trash can.
That's the thing. They have been imprisoned in the Pail. When it spills over, we see like green slime come out, and I guess they turn. I don't know. They don't really show them coming out of the Pail. There's something magical about it. Captain Manzini comes home. He's like, "Oh no, you let out them from Pandora's box."
He did.
And he's like, "We'll have to get them back in." They never just pick them up and stick them in there, which makes me think there's a magical thing because he spends the rest of the movie trying to find a spell to bring them back in.
No, because it'd be super creepy if you went over and picked them up.
Well, we're already doing the super creepy, Tim, because what does he do? He's like, "Look how dirty you are, Dodger.
Oh, that's right.
Take off all your clothes."
He's a teenager.
My young underage employee, and take a bath in the middle of the room with everyone watching you.
I know what's going on there.
And I was like, "What are we watching here?" And like he's like, he's like, it's like this full-grown man who is not related to him is making him bathe. There's 7 whatever the fuck these things are watching. When he stands up, like a couple of them, including Valerie Vomit, look at his butt, and she's like, "What beautiful legs!" I'm like, why? Why is this happening?
And you know what, George?
What?
You remind me. I do have a list. It's a list of the failed Garbage Pail Kids that didn't make it.
Tim, I have a list that's very similar. I'm saving for a later point in the movie.
Okay.
I hope we don't have repeats. Okay. Failed. We already heard a couple. You had Lazy Susan and what was it?
Well, I forget. Failed. Christmas Tree Clarence. He was always sticking his finger into electrical sockets. Yeah.
I honestly think that's a real one. But yeah, go on.
Damn it. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. You think this is real? How about Donnie Trump Jr.?
There was a Donald Trump one. I remember that.
There was not.
There was.
Eric Jr.
That's probably not.
They're like, this is too gross. Can't use this. There we go. Gotcha, Eric.
Like, take that.
Little Ollie Oswald. He loved depositing books, and he was always yelling, "I'm a patsy. I'm a patsy."
Then he got shot by little Jack Ruby, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
That one ain't real, right?
Yeah. Who knows? Probably not, because nobody that age would ever care.
And little Zany Zapruder. He was always filming motorcade processions.
Right. Tim, I regret to inform you there is going to be a little bit of overlap, but we will get to it when I get to my list.
Okay.
I'm saving my list, folks, just so you know. The storyline for these Garbage Pail Kids is there are other Garbage Pail Kids, and they're trying to find them.
And also, this plot is just what a young kid would love to go see, George. A plot revolving around a fashion show.
Okay, let's talk about this. So I just want to stress, like, these things don't really look like Cabbage Patch Kids, but they look inhuman and gross. They're not dressed well, and there's nothing fashionable about them.
No.
For reasons we do not understand, like, Dodger and them just bond. It's like, well, because it's a movie, it's supposed to be like this. It's like E.T. It's like you're going to be, whatever the weird creatures, you're going to be friends with it. And they know that he has a crush on Tangerine, who is the girlfriend of Juice, the 25-year-old girlfriend of Juice. And they're like, the way to impress, I'm going to be the greaser guy. The way to impress her is to dress up. Although women, they're a problem. No, chicks, he says. So they make him.
Chicks is chicks.
Chicks is chicks. He says that multiple times. There's a video online of somebody did an hour straight of him saying chicks is chicks, and they dare you to watch it. I found that. Didn't try it. So they make him like a Sgt. Pepper style, like Michael Jackson jacket.
That's what I thought.
But like, why are they good at fashion?
Good, did you think that looked like a good jacket?
No. If a bunch of monster baby creatures that came out of a green garbage pail made it, I'd be impressed at that. But like, so the thing is, Tangerine, who is the suffering girlfriend of Juice, she, like, the other three, Juice and the other two, are just pure rotten. Tangerine, you're like, I think she's good, but she has dreams of getting out of this little town of like 5 buildings we mentioned. Mm-hmm. And she does it by making fashion that she sells at the nightclub.
Yep.
Dodger's in love with her, even though there's like easily a 10-year age difference, if not more.
I think he does say he's 14 and maybe she's 20. I don't know.
Even so.
Yeah, like, even so.
It crosses over. She does, like, at one point when she sees him in the jacket, he shows up wearing this like Michael Jackson Sgt. Pepper style jacket, which would have been, I guess, hot shit in 87. No, It wouldn't have been. It was already old by then. But anyway, she's like, this makes you look older, because she's realizing she can play this guy. She sees dollar signs. She's like, I could sell these fashions.
Yep.
And he's like, how much older? And this is so gross. She goes, at least 16. And then she looks him up and down. Maybe 17. That's the age of consent, right?
Depends what state.
Like, we never found out what state this is, but I think that was a specific joke where she's looking at him like with the hint of like the forbidden fruits. Like, you and I can enter into a carnal relationship because now you are 17 and I won't go to jail anymore for it. Not that there's cops.
Not that it's an open secret
that nobody has parents, and Juice straight up kills people and it's public knowledge. So, man.
So she wants to be a famous fashion designer.
Yeah, and she sells her fashions at this club where it's like a nightclub. She pulls up in her convertible outside. All these women run out with such teased hair. If somebody were to light a match, the amount of hairspray and teased hair, like, it would just be like the Hindenburg. It'd be a whoosh. So fucking 80s. And they're all throwing money. And there was money in this. There were like a lot. The shirts were selling for like $12, $10, but you know, whatever. Yep. It's probably about double, just like a little bit over. So it's like probably $20.
And Juice does show up, and he hides in a duffel bag because Juice will murder him.
Juice is there is the actual fear. Like, Juice is not your typical bully in one of these movies. A, he's 10 years older at least. He's a full grown adult, and B, he is a murderer. So the stakes are pretty high.
So then she's like, "Can you make more of these?"
You need at least a dozen outfits by next Friday.
Wow.
Which the Garbage Pail Kids, who there's nothing in their general theme that suggests they're good at fashion.
They're like little elves.
Don't know why this element's like, what the fuck? Why fashion? Why not anything related tangentially to Garbage Pail Kids?
Yeah,
like,
they should have made
recycled. How about upcycled stuff? Because they're from garbage. You know, It's so weird. So they agree to help him.
A trash can car, something fun.
Yeah, it's such a weird. I feel like there was already a pre-existing screenplay with like fashion, and they're like, let's put Garbage Pail Kids in this movie. It's a weird fucking movie that we couldn't get made about a 24-year-old woman dating a 14-year-old boy.
And
like, why can't it get made?
But then they make more, and that's where they sing this terrible song.
They sing, this song. Should we play a little bit?
Anything by working with each other. I can sing it. Yeah, I'm going to play part of it.
We can do anything by working with each other. I ain't gonna work for free. Tell me what's in this for me. We can do anything by working with each other.
I will be honest, this was a part, as you know I sometimes do, when this started playing, I got up and left the room. I'm like, I'm not sticking around for this.
Yeah, we can do anything by working with each other.
Alligator and the crew, they remove some bars on a factory, which it literally says non-union sweatshop.
Yeah,
they go
I didn't understand that.
It's a joke, I guess. They go and they steal. They show it many times. Like, they thought this was really fun. Like, oh, isn't this delightful social commentary?
Yes.
They steal a bunch of sewing machines and materials, and then they make clothes. And the deal is they're going to help Dodger make these clothes so he can impress the girl who's clearly old enough to, maybe not old enough to be his mother, but old enough to go to jail, certainly. And Dodger is going to help them find the missing Garbage Pail Kids.
Yeah.
And this is about the time, we're like an hour into the movie, I would say. We learn that there is something called the State Home for the Ugly.
Oh, I know.
And this is when I realized that we're not in a normal world here. We already have Captain Manzini with magic powers, whatever, that could exist. We're in like a weird Days of Future Past nightmare scenario where a eugenics society has come over, and like we see these kids playing. It's like we are watching an X-Men movie suddenly.
Yeah,
there's kids playing hide and go seek, and there's this very ugly little girl with like a weird pig face.
Right.
And these two old guys pull up in a truck that says Home for the Ugly, and they throw a big net over her, and she just has a mask on, so they let her go. But we learned that if you were ugly in this world, they just take you to this state home. And we see it. It's like behind barbed wire. Mm-hmm. There's people like behind bars in there. And Manzini, who's like, I had heard rumors of this existing. Like, really?
Yeah, whatever.
Magic guy, you didn't know this was in the world? Like, you didn't know that ugly people got snatched off the street and were like,
they got the logo on their truck and everything.
Should we just spoil what happens to them too?
They get crushed.
Yeah, you get crushed in a garbage truck and killed. You get put in this home for the ugly, and they execute ugly people.
Wow.
We learned this a little bit later, but it's a little bit spoilers. So Dodger and Manzini do a stakeout on this thing. They've discovered this, but then he's like, how long should we wait? And Manzini's like, we'll wait till darkness falls upon blackened wing. You mean night? Yes. I can't. I have to go. He runs. He goes back home.
My parents don't wonder where I am, I guess.
No, my parents don't even know who I am. He has to do his fashion. He has to sell fashions with the beautiful Tangerine.
I do want to say, when they do, this isn't important to the movie because there's so many things that aren't.
Yep.
I don't know when this happens, but all the Garbage Pail Kids find a TV, and they're like hiding it from Dodger. Like, why were they afraid?
Yeah, and you're right, Tim. And then nothing happened with that, did it?
Well, what's her name? Put her snot on it, and she almost got electrocuted.
Yeah, but like Tessie. That was it. Like, why were they trying to hide TVs?
Maybe they
is it because they would have learned that, like, you know, they live in a dystopian future where ugly people are rounded up?
Maybe. Wow.
Because they know about that because they tell them.
That's deep.
But they say, like, you can't go outside. The normies, which is what normal-looking people, will take you away and kill you. Crush you.
Maybe they wanted to watch Renegade starring Lorenzo Lamas.
But let's assume.
I think that's what they wanted to do.
Yeah, I would think that makes a lot of sense.
Also Nat peed when she got electrocuted by TV because Nat pees all the time.
Oh, and his voice was very upsetting. Can you do his voice?
I don't remember any of their voices.
Oh, his voice was like, oh God, it's me, Nat nerd, and like he was. I hated this.
They go to the theater. If we want to get through that, well, I don't know what happens next.
Oh yeah, you're right. They do go to theater.
They just sneak out and they go to
the kids.
Theater.
Yeah, the garbage can kids sneak out and they go watch.
They terrorize the audience and terrorize B. That
they're
little
watching,
baby going, "Mommy, Daddy," and just stealing.
They're watching
their
the Three Stooges, and yeah, they're just running amok in a movie theater. And like
1987, in this universe, people go out to see the Three Stooges. Yeah, I mean, it could have been a festival, but.
It wasn't, though. It was packed full of normal people. No, I think like culturally this world's arrested. Like this is all like movie making technology doesn't exist anymore. They just watch old films.
And I found this other strange coincidence. That very episode of The Three Stooges, that was what was playing in the theater that Oswald ran into after he supposedly shot JFK and was on the run.
Oh, wow. That's something too.
As he sat with different people in the theater.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so they sneak out and they cause chaos, and they get back.
No, but then they go to a bar. It's like a night out.
You're right. They go to a bar.
The worst bar in the world is called, I think. Most horrible bar.
And it's full of bikers.
And I know what you saw.
Oh, maybe I didn't.
So Alligator is looking at all the feet, and he comes upon somebody inexplicably, right, wearing sandals. Did you totally miss this? I was prepared. I'm like, I got defenses up. Whatever George's going to say. Because Alligator wants to eat toes, and he comes to a guy with sandals, and he bites his toes off. You don't remember?
I do remember that now. Yes, I do. Yeah, Alligator is obsessed with eating. I mean, aside from the fact that he's gouged out people's eyes and figures, he also eats toes at multiple points.
But George, why would that guy in a biker bar wear sandals? Why? I got 3 reasons.
Oh, let's hear it. It's a list. All right.
I thought you were going to do this. I was like,
I got another list coming up.
Wait till George sees a guy wearing sandals.
So soon.
George makes fun of me for wearing sandals.
It's funny because I actually did. I will tell you, I have a sandal related joke coming up.
Okay.
But I'm saving it for later.
So why did this guy in a biker bar wear sandals? Well, reason number 1, he threw up in his shoes.
Okay, good one.
Okay.
Yep.
Number 2, his mom.
Can I add number 2?
His mom also threw up in his shoes. So what?
His mom. Okay. All right. Number 3, he was going to wear Crocs, but he was worried it would offend Alligator.
Oh.
How about that?
That's good.
Yeah.
My number 3 was his dog ate one shoe and threw up in the other one.
That's a good one too. Wow, that sucked. All right. Okay. They're all going to beat up. They're all going to beat up the guys, and then Winston, the farting guy, comes out and he farts loudly. And they're like, "I like your moxie."
Yes. The bar loves him after this.
They love him because he fucking beefs a cheeser, and then they get drunk with these possibly children. Some of them look like babies.
Right.
I know.
And then they let them ride some of their motorbikes.
Yeah, they have little ATVs they ride. Why do they have little tiny kid-sized ATVs? Who knows? So then all these storylines converge. Basically, Dodger comes home from successfully selling the kids' fashions to club goers with Tangerine. The Garbage Pail kids come back from their drunken escapade, and Juice is watching, and he sees them, and he's like,
He knows
that's not good because he's a normie.
Yeah.
There's other things that happen here, but here's what's important.
Well, Ned pees his pants.
Ned pees his pants. That's the important. That needs to be mentioned.
They play cards, and Greaser threatens someone with a knife for cheating. Maybe it's all.
Yeah, there's a lot of hijinks like that.
Yeah.
Tangerine is so impressed with how well the stuff sold, and she views this as her ticket out of this one-horse town. She has set up somehow a fashion show at Bundy's.
We don't know what that is, so we don't even know why it's a big deal. Yeah.
It's big because, like, Dodger's like, wow, Bundy's, it's really all happening. And so next week, instead of just selling outside the club, they're going to have a full-on fashion show, which means the kids have to work on more fashions. Yep. At this point, Dodger takes her into his he reveals the secret of the kids. And she reacts like, oh, they're disgusting, which I can't blame her because they are little mucus covered fart creatures.
It's not their looks. It's also their soul and their personality.
Yeah, they're just bad. They're bad. They're not good creatures. The little greaser guy keeps threatening to stab people. The alligator guy eats people. Like, they're not good. No. But she's all like kind of gross, and like you could see that like Dodger's like, these are my friends, but she's so beautiful, so he's torn.
Right.
And the night of the big fashion show arrives, and
Wait, you're skipping ahead. We're going right to the fashion show?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, because it's the same night, because they all want to go. They all dress up as clowns.
Oh, but because they're going to be in disguise. Make more clothes first.
He makes them make more clothes. There's like a montage.
And Gator promises to eat Dodger's toes off if he thinks out on them, because he's going to help them find the other kids.
The missing kids. And they're very excited to be part of this.
Everything in this movie is based on threats and lures. There's no kindness.
And lies. You're right. The messaging behind this movie is fucked. And like he's gonna take them. They're gonna dress up as clowns so they don't look like scary monsters.
Right.
And they're all dressed up and they're all excited. And Tangerine goes upstairs with Dodger and she locks the door.
Yep.
And she puts a padlock on. She goes, "We can't have them out. This is safer for them." And he goes, "But what about the key?" She puts it in her bra. No, not her bra. Like puts it like she's wearing like a kind of
tiny top.
Tiny on top of like, again, weirdly sexy thing for this children's film. And she puts it like underneath her boob and you're like, what? And you see Dodger's eyes like, Rrr. I'm like, yeah, that's a lot for you 12-year-old boy. And then they go to the fashion show and she's like, it's in a department store. There's all these models. They're all dressing up.
The worst lit fashion show.
It's so poorly. It looks like shit. It looks like something at a shopping mall. Previous episode.
Oh, what if in this weird universe, Ted Bundy became the owner of a big ugly store?
I assume that's what happened. Yes. This seems like something Ted Bundy would do. This seems like if Ted Bundy had to succeed in his political ambition, this is the America that would have come from result.
Yeah.
But here's where shit gets really fucked up, because it turns out Tangerine's not just mean because she's mean to them. She has actually given the key from her boob to Juice.
Right.
And Juice and the other two goons show up, unlock the door, and using a whistle method, trick all the kids to come upstairs, and they put them in sacks.
Yep.
Because, Tim, they bring them to the state home for the ugly, because there's apparently bounties if you turn in ugly people.
Exactly.
In this, so we see the inside. People are kept in cages that have signs. The kids are put into a cage that says "too gross," but there's too fat. Santa Claus is in there. Yep. There's too short. There's a little person. I guess one of the guys who didn't get a job as one of the creatures. There was too hairy. There was a hairy guy.
Yes.
Too pale. What else? Too skinny.
Too hooty.
Too hooty. There was too blowfish. Yep.
Too Dave Matthews. Okay.
Too Dave Matthews, and he was unfortunately above other people. He kept dumping his toxic sludge on them. It's nuts.
It's ridiculous.
Too silly. There was a clown, which probably not good for them if they had gotten out as clowns. And the kids are in there crying, and we cut to the two dudes who were like we saw previously hunting people.
Right.
And the guy's like, "Oh, they're crying. Should I put a stop?" He goes, "Don't worry, they won't be here long." And he's like, "What do you mean?" And he does the miming of the hand. He's like, "They're gonna get crushed." I'm like, "What?"
But that guy's new. That old guy is new there. He seemed really into his job. Wow.
So yeah. So.
And then Juice goes back to the show and throws Dodger in the garbage.
Yep, throws Dodger in the garbage.
She's betraying everybody.
Yep. And Dodger realizes that like the kids have been kidnapped.
Yep.
He and Manzini go. He actually goes to the state home. Manzini's already there, getting thrown out.
Yes.
And the two of them.
They go.
How do they break them out?
They go to the toughest bar in town. Remember, the kids made friends with those.
Oh, do
bikers.
they? Man, I forgot that part. Oh, okay.
So we need help, and the bikers go help them.
Oh, that's okay. Okay, cool.
You don't remember the bikers helping him? Wow, you fell asleep.
No. I didn't fall asleep, but I mean, here's what I do know though. At this point, we learned as they're freeing everybody,
the bikers freed them. Yes.
Manzini, the bikers are fighting them, but Manzini and the kid are freeing all the different people, including the kids. We learn the other kids, the ones they're looking for, their friends, had all been sent to the home before and killed.
Yeah, I remember them saying it's too late for them. And I thought, really?
He goes, they've been, yeah. So Tim,
here's your list.
Here's my list.
Ooh, who they were.
This is my list of Seddy Bimco related Garbage Pail kids who all got crushed to death.
Oh, jeez. Seddy Bimco related?
So, yep.
Okay.
So just to start us off, the first one, we've been talking comics. I promise you more comics.
Okay.
In honor of the Days of Future Past world we landed in is the character John Byrne.
Oh, no.
Yeah, he's a little Cabbage Patch Kid looking guy. He's sitting in a toilet and he's shooting flames out of his ass. Get it? John Byrne. Then there was another little Cabbage Patch Kid looking guy. Yeah.
Shouldn't you have just had him be a Cabbage Patch Kid that you left out in the sun?
No, because
John Byrne. I really burn.
That would have worked as well. Okay. That was his son of John Byrne, also known as Kieran Dwyer. Folks, if you know comics, you understand what I'm doing there. Yep, cutting it out. You can't, because I mentioned it. All right, next one. There's a guy. He's got a pompadour. You might think he's the greaser at first, but he's a little bit more of a Teddy or a Mod sort of guy. He's sitting at a drum set, and wouldn't you know it, he's turning into a werewolf. That's Pete Beast.
Gah.
Pete Beast.
Where's Kevin here? And I need someone to laugh.
Right.
Next, there's a figure, and she's walking away from us. She's covered with hair, taking long, loping strides. And she looks over her shoulder, and we realize we're looking at the form of Cass Squatch. Cass Squatch.
She eating a ham sandwich.
She is eating a ham sandwich, of course. Then, because it keeps going, there's just an inert kid laying there. Looks like they're maybe roughly hewn out of stone. Yeah. That's Pet Rocky.
Pet Rocky. Okay.
Yeah, he's also got a dog leash on because he's into BDSM. Yeah. This one's kind of sad. Like the center for the ugly, whatever the hell it's called, it was downtown, like right at there was a lot of public transportation there.
Yeah.
And one of the kids, while they were trying to free them, they see them laying in the middle of the road with their limbs severed by a passing streetcar. That was Trolley Carl.
Carl, I like that one.
Yeah.
Good.
And then just as we're taking in this sad scene, you're hit by a goober, a piece of spit, which seems very in keeping with these things.
Yes.
You turn to the side and you see a half human, half alpaca hybrid. That's Lorenzo Lama. Got a couple more. Then there's this guy, Kevin Cablasto. Yeah, he's just there. Just Kevin Cablasto, because his name sounds like one of them. And he's co-hosting a podcast with a guy who's sitting there, and wouldn't you know it, Tim, I told you there were sandals involved. There's a guy, and he's sitting there wiggling his big, ugly, square toes as he talks. And that is Tim Hammertoe. Tim Hammertoe.
Good one. What's that podcast called?
It's called
Hammer and Cablasto.
It's called
Hammer Time.
What is it?
And sometimes it's Cablasto Time.
Should have made something good. What is
Cablasto
Hammer?
I
want to do
Blasting
Caps.
Hammer. Blasting Caps. That's what that podcast is. We talk about hard hitting subjects. Blasting Caps.
And caps.
And caps.
I got one
All
more.
Caps.
I saved the best one for last.
All right.
And this is unfortunately one that you kind of hit upon a little bit yourself. Finally, the last one. There's actually someone in the cage. Like somebody survived. And he steps out and he waves to everybody, and the back of his head explodes.
Oh no!
And he hits the ground, and that is Zapruder Phil. That's my list. All right. So the surviving.
A mighty fine list.
I told you you're banned. Mark Twain. I actually was trying to come up with the Mark Twain or Samuel Clemens one. All I had was Samuel Clemens. That sucked. So now, okay, so Manzini and Dodger and the kids all go to the fashion show, which is going on.
Yep.
And we all see them. They're all walking up and down. Like, these folks, I just want to stress, like, one of these dresses is literally like a dress you would have paid $8 for back then. It's just a green tight dress. It's nothing. And suddenly at this fashion show,
just going to rampage.
This like all these outfits get wheeled out, and someone's like, "Oh, excuse me, we're having a malfunction." Then all the fucking Garbage Pail Kids run out, and they start ripping off the models' clothes. So I'm like, in this kids' film, there are women being stripped down to their scanty underpants. I'm like, I could see this awoken something in probably some people.
And also,
who have unfortunate fetishes now.
I do want Tangerine to get her comeuppance, but not with like semi-sexual assaults of all her employees.
Yeah, it's really weird. So for the rest of this next 5-10 minutes, there are like these creatures are like just running around. They're tearing women's clothes off. There's women running around in like tiny little striped underwear, like very odd shit.
Yes.
And and then Juice shows up, and like he full on just punches Dodger, knocks him out again.
Yeah.
25-year-old guy punching a 12-year-old kid.
Yeah.
That kid's probably dead. But luckily, the Garbage Pail Kids are there to help. And the horrible baby one, Foul Phil, gets behind him, and then like I think the greaser pushes him over.
Yeah.
And he falls on the ground. And then the fart guy somehow helps the kid Dodger flips there, and he lands on. It's crazy that he lands on the chest, on his face.
Kinda.
And while bawling, because I'm not sure why.
Oh,
I guess because
Tangerine betrayed him. He's still mad.
Okay. So he's just punching repeatedly. Such violence. Just
I know.
Like he's just gonna kill Juice, which is okay because Juice is a murderer. But Captain Manzini's like, you can't do that, and he pulls him off, and
Valerie finally vomits on somebody in the scene.
Valerie vomits on the other two bullies.
Finally, that's all I wanted to see.
Yep. Disgusting. Winston farts on the entire audience who is making like those guys are ugly. He goes, I'll show you ugly. And he farts on them.
Oh wow. It's just terrible.
Yeah.
It's terrible.
So it's chaos.
And then they all go back to the shop. And she's like, she talks to Dodger, this Tangerine. She's like, maybe we could be friends, and I'm kind of sorry. And she's like, nope, I don't think you're pretty anymore.
Yep.
So there's the moral of your movie. Kind of.
That's her comeuppance. Yeah, I guess. And then Captain Manzini, who we kind of mentioned but really get into, has been spending the entire point up until this when he's not on stakeouts at the Home for the Ugly, trying to figure out the magic spells to get them back in the thing.
Yeah, that was
He's like, oh, your song. If I play it backwards, you'll be drawn back in. Tim, did you notice they had a song until then?
No.
That was weird, right? I'm like, I guess they sang that one song about like when we work together. Is that it? I don't know.
Maybe they cut a song
He keeps his eyes closed. He's playing it backwards. Dodger's like, and the kids are like, yeah, now's your chance to get out of here. And they're all getting ready. They're all walking out. And Dodger's like, Captain Manzini. He's like, now, Dodger, now's not the time for sentiment. So he keeps his eyes closed, playing the music the whole time. Then he stands up, trips, falls in the garbage pail. He's fine. But the kids all escape on the ATVs.
Yep.
And so 7 horrible monster children ride off into a world where people pay money to round them up and put them in concentration camps where they're executed. The end. Did we forget anything that's important for the stories?
Nope. Tangerine betrayed them.
Yep. Juice is dead, maybe? I think he might have been killed.
They did do some weird things with Garbage Pail Kids. I don't know when. They went in the sewers and made people's toilets explode. You remember that? Oh yeah,
they shot Juice up in the air with he was on the toilet and they made him shoot up in the air with water. Then the other 2 goons were in a toilet. They were in a hot tub, but there's one that says hot tub. They turn that.
They put poop in it.
And it fills. They put poop in it. She's like, "Is the water brown?" Oh no! I'm like, "Wow, they're just singing shit." There was a very weird scene. Just to mention, just the unsettling sexual quality of these creature babies. There's a scene where they're all playing poker for like the 19th time, and like the one with snot on her face comes out with the greaser, and he's like, next time I'll put the knife away or something. I'm like, what?
Yeah.
What was happening underneath that? It was weird. And she slaps him.
Yep.
Weird. Very weird movie. So this movie has a 0% rating on Rotten Tomatoes.
There you go.
Huzzah. All right.
Revenge. Wherever you are, wherever you're hiding, I'll find you.
Revenge. One of us will die. One of us will die.
Revenge. All right. So, wildcard question was, which character from tonight's movie, Tim, was most likely to appear on a game show called Sasquatch or Hippie?
Well, that'd be Manzini, because he's like a magical man who's been around the world, right?
Okay, and so what is what does he do? Does he appear? Is he a Sasquatch, a hippie, or is he the host? Is he a contestant?
Oh, there's 3 contestants, and they bring out someone that you're like, are you a Sasquatch or a hippie? And they get to ask one question of it. And
so they ask, like, are you a Sasquatch or hippie? And the guy goes, oh, I'm like, probably a hippie then.
Yes. Usually every time they answer, they just go, Arr. And even if it's a hippie, that's their only means of fooling the guest contestant.
Pretty clever, those hippies. And I know from watching the show in syndication, they would also just like be constantly blowing doobie smoke on both the hippies and Sasquatches before. So they would come out and they'd be fucking high as kites.
So did Manzini win?
No, Manzini, he actually bet, he guessed Yeti, and they said, no, this was Sasquatch.
Really?
And he was very upset, yeah. He's like, you don't understand. When I say Yeti, I just used it because I don't know.
Yeti.
Not Yeti.
Yeah, not Yeti. So he lost.
Okay.
He lost, and he took his own life afterwards.
And this is the 100th episode. I won't butt and ruin it.
Guys, I'm watching. Tim is sweating profusely. He is white knuckle gripping the edge of his recording table.
I am.
He just wants to drag us back in so hard.
Nope. Staying out of that one.
All right.
What?
Okay.
Who's going first?
I'll go first if you don't mind.
Okay. You look worried. I didn't steal your idea.
So you did. You kind of traipsed in with my my Zapruder Phil. So I want to make sure I get this in. So
start the music.
Start the music. There it goes. This movie, it does seem like there's a lot of dangling plot elements, so to say. Like, did the other kids really die and get compacted? Is that really how the hundreds of other Garbage Pail Kids met their end?
Wow.
Apparently, there was plans to make a TV series that never materialized because this thing made almost no money. So some of these questions would have been answered. And luckily, I did uncover the screenplay for a revenge-based movie.
Wow.
Yeah. The person at the very end of the movie, as the Garbage Pail Kids leave and they are flying off to like adventures unknown and almost certainly to end in their deaths.
Or other people's deaths.
Captain Manzini, and that too. Captain Manzini, who we were told up front, he's made references to being alive for hundreds of years. He literally calls the thing that they're imprisoned in Pandora's box. Oh. He has magical powers. And he says to young Dodger's like, aren't you going to try and get them, Captain Manzini? He's like, Dodger, I've learned you can't change the world by locking yourself away. So in my sequel, Tim, Captain Manzini sets about to change the world.
Oh.
Well, he sat there running his little shop, selling sarcophagi and little mugwais and whatever the hell else he sold out of that shop. This world became a dystopian nightmare where the ugly were rounded up. Not just the ugly, people who were too pale, people who dressed as clowns, people afflicted with dwarfism, whatever you had, Santa Claus.
Yeah. They
were all being rounded up and executed. So Captain Manzini, who we have our hints, like I said, this guy is older than we know. He owns Pandora's box. How do you own Pandora's box if you are not alive since mythic Greece? Now, you may be thinking, am I setting him up to be a god? No.
I know.
He's no mere god. He is an avatar of many gods. His powers manifest. When he says aloud the word Manzini, he is granted powers. The M stands for the speed of Mercury. The A, the stamina of Atlas. The N, the darkness of Nyx. The Z, the power of Zeus. The I, the icicles of Iceman. The other N, the boots of Nancy Sinatra. And then the last I, the ickiness of the weird love story between Dodger and Tangerine.
Wow.
And with these powers, he goes out and he launches battle on the world. He goes to that home of the ugly. He murders everybody there.
What?
He builds these giant robotic sentinels that prowl the streets.
What happened?
Yep.
What happened?
Manzini's like, I got to change this world to match what I like. This guy grew up in fucking weird times, man. Kings and shit.
Did he get hit by lightning when he got these powers?
Yeah, a big lightning bolt comes down from Zeus, gives him all these powers. Yep, he goes out, he kills, but he gets carried away because like now he kills everybody who's a normie.
Okay.
Or he melts their face. Yeah. He finds the Garbage Pail Kids, he kills them because they made him look bad.
Well, no one's going to be left.
Yep. No, that's how it ends. Oof. Just the blasted earth, and Captain Manzini looks out on all he wrought, and the only other living thing in the entire world is a car that he thinks is his mother.
Oh, jeez.
Yep, and that's...
Is Tangerine driving it at least?
No, she's dead. He kills her. Yeah, he kills her.
She's so pretty.
He peels her like a tangerine.
She was the prettiest woman in that universe, I think, that world.
Yep. But he kills her. And he juices juice. Oh my God, wait, Tim.
He juices juice?
Tangerine and juice.
Ah, I never got that.
What? I didn't either. I hate this movie now. All right, I'm done. That's my revenge story. Episode 100 out. The end.
Good one. I'm glad it didn't take place in the DC universe.
Oh, he kills Batman. It did, actually, because he was clearly doing a Shazam riff. Right. It kind of did take place. Yeah, it was DC.
I do want to say, you remind me that when the people were escaping home for the ugly, and I'll see if I can find the shot and post it, because you may not believe me.
Okay.
There was one man, he was just a man in a shirt, wearing a bra over his shirt, running out of there.
I know who you're talking about. He was in the cage that said "too weird."
Oh, really?
He was the guy with the mustache, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, he was cross-dressing. I forgot. Wow. I knew there was one that was really bad. Yeah.
Yeah. All right.
Yep.
All right, we'll start my music.
All right. There it goes.
So we don't know where this garbage can is a portal to. It's obviously a portal to a place where kids are ugly and gross and stab people.
It's also possibly a spaceship.
Yeah, I'm leaving that one out.
Also possibly Pandora's box.
I think it's a portal.
Okay, it's a portal.
So thus, from this portal comes kids from yet another world. Oh. The other Garbage Pail Kids, who are from a planet ruled by goats. Thus,
goats.
What do you call a baby goat?
Kids.
A kid.
Oh, this sucks.
These are the gross baby goats called Garbage Pail Kids.
Oh no.
Oh no.
I'm already upset. Wait, Tim, you gotta let me know so I can get up and leave. Is this going to be goat? Is this going to be goat themed Garbage Pail Kids?
Yes.
Oh my God! All right, let's hear it.
There's silly kid. He plays silly, gross tricks on people, like spitting their faces and running away, and shouts, "I'll be back."
Oh God!
And there's Chili Kid, who squirts iced milk that's not even pasteurized into coffee and turns it cold and gross.
Okay.
Then there's Goat Kid. He's the greatest of all goats. Get it? She just brags all the time. She's the greatest at climbing rooftops and garbage piles. Then there's little kid, slow goat to China, who wants to get on a boat and slowly go to China. Only gross thing about him is that he's so slow, he likes to eat Chinese takeout food and have slow diarrhea.
Slow down. Wait, it's slow diarrhea, like it just slowly trickles out.
Yeah, sure.
Yep. New York Times. I mean, come listen to New York Times best-selling author Tim Hamilton. Cartoonist for the New Yorker described trickling out diarrhea.
I had to deal with myself.
Yeah,
not to do poop jokes in the 100th episode.
I mean, you did. You just did.
I lost that.
You just
deal
lost.
With myself. I'm admitting it.
Yep. What else?
The last one. Was a very special goat who was born in a manger. This kid preached that all goats should treat each other as they would like to be treated and live in peace. And his name is Little Kid Christ. He's gross because...
Can I jump in? Oh, go on. I didn't realize. All right.
He's gross because he wears sandals, even though he's a ruminant and he has hooves. It's very gross.
Ruminant. Nice. I just want to jump in. Feel free to cut this out. While you were doing this, I'm like, they must have actually had at some point a goat character. So I typed in Garbage Pail Kids goat. There's a character named Goat Tucker.
Oh, no. Goat talk.
I know.
What?
I thought it was going to be a goat fucker too. He's a chupacabra and he's sucking a goat. So it's like a chupacabra kid holding a goat with a straw and it's sucking his fluids out.
Wow.
So
that's real.
It's a real one. So 2018 is released.
So all these garbage pail kids go out into the world, and little kid Christ proclaims he will teach the world to sing in perfect harmony. And he believes people should get revenge by living their best life. This is a revenge by living your life well story.
Teaching that's a Coca-Cola reference, right?
Yep.
Did you catch that this was a Pepsi-sponsored movie?
Yeah.
They even called themselves the Pepsi generation at one point.
Yeah, I was like, wow, Pepsi pays money for this.
Pepsi regrets that.
So little kid Christ starts spreading the word that goats should not make milk for cheese, and they should not let people eat them. They should all live in peace and harmony, or hollow me, a goat cheese. And
I don't get that.
All right.
I don't get that.
Hollow means goat cheese. Tangerine.
Is that a type of goat cheese?
Yeah.
Is that a type of goat cheese? Really? Oh, okay.
Tangerine from the movie, who betrayed our hero, Dodger. She wants to atone for her sins for what she did, and she's following these new garbage pail kids and little kid Christ. He promises to teach the world to sing in perfect harmony.
Okay.
But this news makes its way to Big Goat Cheese Corp, which is headed up by CEO Pontius Pecan Pilot. And he starts sending out Billy Goats to harass little kid Christ and his followers. He's fed up with all this ruckus. No. He's cheesed off. Little kid Christ sees the writing on the wall and has a big Last Supper with his garbage kid pals. Little chili goat puts cold milk in all their garbage they're eating. And Goat, greatest of all goats, feels if they want to teach the world to sing, they should form a gross band called Kid Rock or something.
Yeah.
But they decide not to. And Tangerine is there serving their food to atone for her sins. And at this Last Supper, little kid Christ steals little kid's line and predicts that he would be arrested and killed, but he would be back.
Oh.
So little...
God.
That goat is so angry that he stole his shtick, he turned him into Big Goat Cheese. He betrayed them. Thus, little kid Christ is captured and put on trial, and CEO Pontius Pecan Pilot.
Yep.
Pecan, it's a cheese.
Yep. Is it?
Yes. Little kid Christ. He gives little kid Christ, Pontius Pilate, he gives him little kid Christ a guitar and tells him to teach the world to sing in perfect harmony like you promised you will. Show me how you do this right now, he says. But little kid Christ says, I can't play guitar. I'm a ruminant, and I only have hooves, not fingers. And Pontius Pilate says, ha, you're a fraud, little Christ. Take him away. So they nailed little kid Christ to a tree, along with a gross chicken that wouldn't stop pecking out chopsticks on a piano.
Does Pecan Pilate wash his hooves of him?
Yep.
Okay.
And when he rises from the dead 3 days later, he stole little kid's line again, and he said, I'm back. And Tangerine washes little kid Christ's feet, to atone for her sins, and they would have lived happily ever after. But Tangerine didn't really change her ways after all. She took the award money that was offered for the garbage pail kids, and they were taken to the state home for slaughtering goats. And they made gross meat out of them. The end.
Wow.
This is called Garbage Pail Kids 2, The Goat Story. Greatest of all time story. The Goat Story.
Wow. And you know what?
Didn't see that
you
coming.
never once mentioned You never once mentioned eating a can.
No.
Like they could have come out of a can. You could have eaten the can. I mean, they didn't butt heads.
It's a myth.
They didn't scream. All these goat behaviors left on the table. It's almost like there needs to be another sequel.
Oh, really? Right now?
No, gosh,
Did you just think of one?
No. I'm just throwing off ideas.
Well, I got letters.
Should we tell people that's what the season 3 of Seddy Bimco is going to be? It's just going to be us talking about Garbage Pail Kids over and over again, week after week.
Right. Once in a while, Bigfoot, but mostly Garbage Pail Kids.
None of that's true, folks.
So I got a letter here.
Who's it from?
John Kelly, former co-host.
John Kelly. That's weird. John Kelly, who this entire time has been flopping about on the floor, unable to stand because of these severe amounts of olive oil he spread all over his form. He did take time to write a letter. Hurry up and read it before the olive oil makes the paper see-through to the point where we can't make out the words anymore. So what does it say,
He
Tim?
emailed it to me. He says, hello.
Okay.
Seddy Bimco, congratulations on your 100th episode. It seems just like yesterday that Tim and I recorded that first episode, and I thought, what have I gotten myself into? I always knew Tim was destined for great things. I recall his one-man show where he portrayed Mark Twain. It was really impressive that it started at age 8. He was so dedicated to the part as he performed it every weekend, mostly at assisted living facilities, mostly to dementia patients.
This explains a lot.
I remember meeting him at age 15, and he asked me to join the club for which he was president, the Osmond Fan Club.
Oh!
There were only 2 other members. Both were kids who were required to wear helmets to school. Ouch. They were football players, right?
Oh, that's why. Okay,
hanging out with football players.
It was to protect their large Osmond-like teeth.
Good times. And to George.
Hey, it's me.
The Cindy Birdsong to my Florence Ballard. The Dick Sargent to my Dick
reference
Hjort.
to, yeah.
There's a lot of them here. The Rebecca Howe to my Diane Chambers.
Oh, I get that one. That's Cheers.
I mean this from the bottom of my heart. You are quite adequate. So
nice. Adequacity. What could I hope for?
So here's hoping for another 100 episodes. Mostly because I can't afford an exterminator, and when I play the latest episode of Seddy Bimco, the cockroaches in my apartment scatter. Perhaps you could change the category to comedy pest control. All the best. John.
Wow. I think he just cursed us.
He did.
Like he wants 100 more episodes. I feel like that's a curse. Wow.
A curse.
Well, John.
I can't wait.
Yeah. Can't wait.
Well, there's one more letter.
Then.
Because I had a little bit of a cold, I'm going to let you, George wrote us the letter, and I'm going to let George read it.
So the name of this letter that I sent myself, folks, as you may have, I don't know what order stuff's in. Recently, due to family stuff, I was away for a few episodes, at which point you might have heard Kevin Cablasto or something. There was an episode I heard recently broadcast. I was not on it, and this is a letter I wrote in response to some stuff in it. The name of the letter is Stop Boxing My Ears, Mr. Gower. Okay. Dear sedentary Bimco habitants, I was listening to the most recent episode of the Seddy Bimco podcast, something massage parlors, murder, massacre, or something. I never quite caught the title. Thanks, Tim.
You're welcome.
And through all the gender-swapped Beatles arcana, Kendall Kaputnik Shanghaiing my current currency kerner, and withering Dirk Feelgood impersonations, there was one bit of egregious misinformation I must address. The wild card question for this particular episode was, which character from this movie would be most likely to steal the mummified Yeti hand from Jimmy Stewart's estate? A question which elicited a groan from emergency co-host Chloe Krabappel and a snort of indignation from me listening at home. You see, the mummified Yeti hand in question was never part of Jimmy Stewart's estate, and your phrasing of the question as such seemingly impugns the great actor as a common thief, rather than one of the greatest heroes in the history of cryptozoology. Here is the true story of that mummified Yeti hand and Jimmy Stewart's role in that story. Many moons ago in Pangboche, Tibet, a holy lama was meditating in a cave when he unexpectedly began receiving visits from a Yeti who would bring the holy man offerings of food and water. Eventually, this Yeti became a Buddhist disciple of the Lama. When the Yeti died, the Lama removed the hand and scalp of the Yeti, as one does, and brought the 2 items to the Buddhist monastery in Pangboche, where they remained viewable for many years as relics for visitors. Then, in the late 1950s, Texas oil tycoon and adventurer Tom Slick, that's really his name, he did oil and his name was Tom Slick, mounted an expedition to the Himalayas. See the way I said it fancy?
You said it wrong. Himalayas.
I said Himalayas, like the way they say it on planet Earth, to prove the existence of the Yeti to the Western world. The monks at Pangboche were unwilling to part with their sacred relic. So a member,
Pangboche, you're saying wrong, though. I think it's Pankucha.
Pankucha? It's kombucha?
Yes.
That's culturally insensitive, Tim. Culturally insensitive.
Well, that's how it's said.
Yeah. The monks at kombucha, according to Tim, were unwilling to part with their sacred relic. So a member of Slick's expedition stole the thumb. allegedly replacing the missing digits with a human thumb they had apparently brought for just such an occasion. Let's think of that for a second. They had a human hand, and they stole the thumb and then put the thumb there. Isn't that weird?
That is weird.
All right. Now, possessing the thumb of a mythical monkey man is one thing, and bringing it safely into the confines of the Western world is another. Luckily, famed Hollywood actor Jimmy Stewart was on vacation with his wife in India. Slick's group smuggled the Yeti thumb across the border and gave it to the Stewarts in Calcutta. Mrs. Stewart secreted the Yeti thumb in her lingerie case, and there it remained unchecked and undetected until the Stewarts brought it into London. And this is a quote I actually got from an actual, this is an article, direct quote from the person who was in charge of checking luggage. Because ain't nobody going to be sniffing around Jimmy Stewart's old lady's panties, you dig? Yeah. In London, the thumb was returned to Tom Slick for a battery of scientific tests that revealed the alleged mummy Yeti hand in question was actually, quote unquote, probably human. And that is why, thanks to the tireless efforts of Jimmy Stewart and his wife's undergarments, we in the Western world now totally know that Yetis are real and definitely not made up. The end. Your pal and regular co-host, George O'Connor.
Now, that story had to be cleaned up.
It did?
Yeah. That's not what really happened.
What? Oh, what really? Oh, Tim.
I'm sure they checked Mrs. Stewart's undies. She took that thumb. She hid it under her boob. That's how it came into the country. And she gave the key to juice. Do you think, Tim? Question: Do you think the Brits sniffed Mrs. Stewart's panties? Yes, that's why she had to hide it under her boob.
She goes, I don't trust those limeys. They always sniffing me panties. They is.
It was all sweaty.
I don't think
by the time it got to be tested. That's why I had human DNA on it.
So that's a fun story, right? The Pangboche hand. So here's a couple things that add to letter because it's too long. So I mentioned the scalp that was tested in later years. It was made of goat skin.
Oh, I predicted this.
And hidden in the 80s. Unsolved Mysteries did an episode on this, and about a week after it aired, somebody stole the remaining mummy hand, and so it's gone. Weta of Workshop fame, the people who did the special effects for Lord of the Rings.
Was it the Smithsonian who came and stole that?
One would assume, of course. The Smithsonian's all about stopping large hominid news. But to replace this, because this was the main source of money for these monks in Pangboche, Weta Workshop crafted an exact replica of the photo. Now, cryptozoologists are people who are able to always come up with excuses as to why they never find their mythical monkey mans. And the story that they like to say about why the thumb tested as probably human was that
it was under Mrs. Stewart's
I don't understand the time frame. It's because they say that they brought the human thumb accidentally, or when they tested it was the human thumb, the part that was on. Doesn't explain why he would. Is the guy so stupid he brings the wrong thumb? I don't know. Look, I'm just saying the important thing to note: Jimmy Stewart, except for briefly carrying it with his wife's panties, he never owned this thumb.
Okay,
important to get out there.
So you think.
So I think.
So the Smithsonian wants you to think.
How Scooby-Doo-esque.
That's what Jimmy Stewart works for the Smithsonian, I bet. Now that you say it, Tim, I bet you Jimmy Stewart, he took that right to the Smithsonian. He goes, quick, hide this with all the other giants. And he probably pulled the thumb off a local hobo. Gave that to Tom Slick. Yep. Do you think he hitchhiked with the thumb?
Would that really help?
Yeah. I think if you hitchhike with a Yeti thumb, you probably get better rides.
Wow.
You got to figure it's bigger, right?
Yeah. Oh, I thought you...
It's a good conversation starter. Like, that's a big thumb you got there. Like, came from a Yeti.
I thought it was something magical you were going to say.
It could be that, too. Any other letters, Tim?
That's it for episode 100, except for what you wanted to say. That's it. It's over.
It's been a long, strange trip.
Woo! Well, this episode.
Yeah. And so, as you hear in the countdown, every episode, 100th episode overall, 50th since we switched to being about America's foremost revenge theme podcast, you might be thinking, are they going to turn for another 50 episodes of something different than revenge? Maybe. Maybe there's going to be a theme for the next 50 episodes. Tim, would you care to share what that theme will be?
These these here great United States.
Oh, okay. Yes, sir.
Was that fucking Mark Twain again?
No.
Yes, folks. Sounded like it. Folks, as you know, we have some of our most powerful and popular episodes come from regional filmmaking. People who are not in New York, not in Hollywood, not in any of the great metropolis or centers of civilization. People like Chuck Pierce in Arkansas, Fuke, Arkansas, doing Boggy Creek. People like Jack Weiss down in New Orleans making Mardi Gras Massacre and other masterpieces. Regional film has been the gift that keeps giving to Seddy Bimco. Last I heard, there are 50 nifty United States from the 13 original colonies. Yeah. We are going to, for each new episode of the next 50, do a regional film.
Yeah.
From whatever state. Idaho's going to be slim pickings, I bet, once we get there.
Yeah.
But
are we doing them in order? We're just picking.
I think we're just doing random.
We're just doing random. I'm excited.
I'm excited. And folks, if you have some good suggestions, because I said, I have a feeling some of these states are probably going to be slim pickings. If you live in, like, say, Vermont, and you're like, I know that they filmed that movie at my uncle's car dealership.
Yeah.
Send us the information. Send us where we can find this thing. And if we choose your movie, we may even mention that.
We will for sure will mention it. Or not mention you at all, if that's what you prefer.
Or not, or that, or whatever you prefer. Write to us at Seddy Bimco with an E at the end. And do we have our first movie chosen?
Follow us on Instagram, Seddy_Bimco, and
go to our website, Seddy Bimco, with a lot of stuff in it. Threads, we're on Threads.
Yeah, and everywhere. Blue Sky.
Yep.
Blue Sky.
Yep.
Oh, so what's your next movie you're picking?
The movie I'm choosing, this one has a rich Seddy Bimco history already. Stepping in for the beautiful state of Arkansas, home of the Fuke Monster, and home of the guy who made the two good Boggy Creek movies, Charles B. Pierce. In fact, this is Charles B. Pierce's other major movie, The Town That Dreaded Sundown.
Okay.
A serial killer prowls the back roads of Texarkana. It's based on a true story. 1976, Charles Pierce. Yikes. Probably be a lot of old men at gas stations. Maybe. Probably be Shirtless Tim and other lovers, other well-loved characters.
Other lovers?
Other lovers. Woo. Available on Tubi, like all good movies should be. Woo!
Thanks again, everybody, for listening for 100 episodes as we say goodbye. Right?
Bye, everyone.
And listen to us for 200 more.
Yes. So long.
After 300, you can stop listening. All right.
Bye.
Yeah.
Bye, everybody.
This has been a Pity Party Line production.
Party line, it's a party line.
This is your producer, Miss Lee. Nobody thanked me for my work on the last 100 episodes? Hello? Hello? Did everyone leave? What is this terrible music?